Shadow bullies and how they operate in the spiritual space. Recently, I came across a tarot reader's post saying, they are all being shadow bullies. Not long after, I watched this same bullies flip the script and label someone else as a bully. Classic projection in action. This reminds me of a screenshot I saved years ago, and before I had the clarity I have now. And in it, a whistleblower warned and said, "It's no more straddling the fence. Anyone associated with individuals involved in throwing stones and hiding heads will be exposed." Pay attention to your favorite readers, the ones you truly feel aligned with, not the ones you secretly doubt. Don't feed them your energy. Back then, I couldn't see the full picture. Now I understand that what she was describing was shadow bullying. When she said throwing stones and hiding heads. And when she warned us about don't feed them energy, she's subtly suggesting of energy manipulation / harvest at play. So what are shadow bullies? Shadow bullies cloak their attacks in prophecy, tarot, or channeled messages. And they present themselves as divine messengers, but their true goal is to demonize, scapegoat, and confuse. Why? Because this isn't just about clout or drama. It is part of a larger spiritual warfare. That this corruption is a battle against spiritual wickedness in high places. They don't attack head-on. Instead, they weave archetypes, coded symbols, and half-truths into stories that condition the audience to believe someone is evil. This is character assassination wrapped in prophecy. So by repeating archetypes, like the evil mother, the karmic, the witch, they bypass logic and program the subconscious. So how do they do it? 1. Title traps and repetition. Example is, the evil mother figure is blocked. Recycled phrases are no accident, and repetition is a brainwashing tool. It implants the archetype into the collective until it sticks. 2. Symbolic gaslighting. So they use archetypes, symbols, or even personal details as weapons. Like using the Queen of Wands image, or dropping hints like your street name or favorite color, or echoing your words right after you said them. It's their way of saying, we see you, and we're targeting you. Weaponized symbolism meant to provoke, destabilize, and gaslight. 3. Projection and role reversal. They accuse their target of the very behaviors they practice, like manipulation, sabotage, blocking, or energy theft. So by flipping the script, they frame themselves as victims and you as the aggressor. 4. Fear seeding and intimidation. Because you know the content is aimed at you and that they are antagonizing you, their prophecies about what will happen to the villain are really designed to implant fear and curse to the target. So they'll say you'll be abandoned, you'll lose everything, you'll be exposed. Fear is their leash, and it lowers your vibration, keeps you distracted, and hooks you into watching more for answers. 5. Shock value accusations. So wild claims like drug addict, witchcraft, prostitution, poisoning, graveyard rituals, harming children, which in truth is most likely a projection of what they really do. These accusations bypass reason and trigger primal disgust. Audiences react emotionally, and in that reaction, they unknowingly participate in the smear. 6. Vague scapegoating. They'll say, oh, it could be a Queen of Cups, then later on, we'll say a Queen of Wands. This shotgun approach spreads paranoia while keeping the bully unaccountable. Ambiguity is their shield. It divides, confuses, and casts suspicion everywhere. 7. The blending of truth and lies. This is their most insidious tactic. The first half of a message contains real truths about your situation. Then, this will hook you and make you feel seen. Second half, they will then twist into a targeting narrative where you will become the villain. Sometimes only fragments are twisted. Other times the whole thing is fabricated, and vice versa, that the whole thing is truth. The goal is always the same. It's confusion and betrayal. Remember the prophet who posted about a frenemy who went to Bali and donation stopped? Well, that reading contained a fragment of truth, but rapid and lies to antagonize. And that's the psychopath's tactic, playing victim while mixing truth and lies. 8. Isolation tactics. They frame the target as abandoned, exposed, or cut off from a group, a community, or the whole world. And they emphasize numbers, where they will use words such as everyone. Everyone is turning against her. But if you examine it closely, it's manipulation of words. A divide and conquer strategy designed to strip away support and convince the audience that the target is unworthy of love or community. Why the shadow bullies do it? Control. Of course, to dominate the narrative and dictate perception. Projection. To dump their own shadow onto others. Then, clout and attention. Drama and fear keep people glued. And they keep making money. Energy harvesting / sacrifice. As the screenshot hinted, it is always about energy. Demonizing others elevates them as saviors while feeding off the chaos they create. So how do we recognize shadow bullying? Well, ask yourself, does this message empower? Or fill you with fear, shame, or the whole content is riddled with competition? Are the accusations vague, repetitive, or exaggerated? Are there always a scapegoat being demonized? Do you feel drained or paranoid after listening? So if yes, you're watching a shadow bully. And the antidote and the only way to break free is through discernment over blind belief. Question everything, even spiritual packaging. Notice emotional hooks. So if the message leaves you drained or fearful, it is manipulation. See their moves clearly and anticipate their next tactic. And in knowing who they are at their core, we would understand and anticipate the tactic being used. Reclaim your narrative and write your own story. Don't let them cast you as the villain, just for the simple reason that the clowns hate it. We stay rooted in our truth regardless of their projections, manipulations, fabricated narratives, and even if they double it down or triple it down with antagonizing us. Shadow bullies as agents of a shadow government. So when we zoom out, shadow bullies aren't just haters in the spiritual space. They are foot soldiers for a bigger agenda. The shadow government doesn't control with chains. It controls with invisible strings, like fear, confusion, division, and narrative warfare. Shadow bullies are useful to them because they cloak propaganda in spiritual language, bypassing reason. Think of it this way. Shadow governments need people afraid, divided, and distracted. That instead of questioning oppression, people waste energy fighting phantoms. And the goal isn't just obedience, it is energy control. Fear, outrage, despair, these are currencies. When you're scared to go outside, afraid that you are cursed, or obsessed with a villain, then you are enslaved to a story written for you. In reclaiming sovereignty, I am not standing for my freedom alone. I am standing for everyone's freedom from oppression. We are all caught inside a vast system of control, a machine designed to condition us into submission. Day by day, we are subtly trained to ignore the manipulations at play. Even as they shape our thoughts, dictate our emotions, and direct our choices. And what looks like ordinary life is often nothing more than a carefully constructed cage. The spiritual community is just one branch of this larger structure of corruption. And what happens here, the control of narratives, the manipulation of symbols, the fear-driven smear campaigns, is a reflection of a broader system. It is not separate, it is all connected. This control of perception is more than politics, more than drama. It is psychological warfare. It is the deliberate twisting of truth and reality to enslave the mind and drain the soul. When bullies and manipulators cloak their tactics in prophecy, in guidance, or in spirituality, they are not serving the divine. They are serving a darker force, a demonic oppression that hides behind the mask of light. It is, in essence, a spiritual prison, a jail not made of stone or iron but of deception, fear, and lies. Reclaiming sovereignty means recognizing the prison for what it is. It means breaking the spell of false narratives, seeing through the smoke screens of manipulation, and refusing to hand over our energy to those who profit from our fear. We were not born to be slaves to a system of oppression. We were born to embody truth, to live free, and to walk in the fullness of our divine inheritance. True sovereignty is not just personal freedom, it's collective liberation. And it begins with awareness. It begins with saying, I see you, I see the game, and I will not play by your rules. Shadow bullies are pawns in a larger control system. When we stop feeding them attention and energy, their power collapses. And I will too. after everything that needed to be said is done. True sovereignty comes when we pierce the illusion, reclaim our narrative, and live free of fear.